All right, you all. Well, let's get into it. Thank you guys for joining the third webinar for Xofu. I was super excited to continue hosting these, and we'll keep improving these as we go along. But for those that don't know, we are hosting these every month on the third Friday of the month, and yeah, super excited about that. Now, we're going to be showcasing an early stages view today of what an audit analysis will look like in Xofu as a part of a larger citation optimization process that we'll be rolling out in Q1. So we'll be polishing up the audit analysis process next week in preparation for a January 26th launch, which is a Monday. And this feature is going to be free for all of our users. Something I did want to mention is if you guys have any feedback while watching this webinar or watching the video that we'll be posting later, please email us at info@xofu.com. We'd love to get any feedback regarding what you're seeing today. And yeah, so without further ado, Luke, take it away.
Hello, everyone. So as Michael said, I'm going to be talking to you all today about the citations audit, which is the first phase of our three-phase citation optimization process, where we aim to look at a project that you have started in Xofu, analyze the citation data, build solutions to address the gaps in those citations that are driven by the data we found in your project, and then provide a tracking/accountability module so that you can look at the solutions that you implemented based on those gaps and determine whether you had a positive impact on the citations in your project after the implementation. So what I'm going to be covering today is the citations audit. It's the first phase of that process. And in the citation audit, we look at the data in your project. We can narrow it down to a specific date range, certain tags on the prompts in your projects, as well as the platforms that we're running in your project. And we crawl the citations that we found over time in your data. And we use what we found on all of those pages to kind of generate a report about what we believe are your strengths and your weaknesses at that point in time based on your project data. So I'm going to share with you a citation audit for an example project that we've created here. This is for RAMP, which is a finance management tool. As you can see, we have a project here for RAMP that I've created. It has run one time. This had 50 prompts, and you can see all the competitors here. I believe there are even more. But you'll see on the sidebar on the left here, there is a new tab in the dashboard called Citation Optimization. And this is where you will go to create your citation audit and also to build solutions unique to that citation audit. So this is the first citation audit for this project. I'm going to click into it and explain what the different views are within this audit. So the audit comes up with 3 different targeted summaries. The first one is the cited domains. And this is a profile of all of the top domains that were cited inside of that project over the specified data range. So on the right here, you can see all of the domains that are not either a competitor or a social platform. For each of these domains, we generate a profile outlining who the brand is or what the domain is, their website summary, their key audience, and we also generate an outreach score for each of these domains to determine how compatible each domain would be for placing editorial content that would support your brand in citations. So each domain here has an outreach score. You can see whether the domain publishes editorial content and whether they explicitly mention brand names in that editorial content on their site. We recommend a label for every domain here. I believe for this audit, the auto tagging was disabled, but if you choose to enable auto tagging when you create the audit, you'll be able to automatically apply all of these recommended labels without having to go in and do that yourself. On the left, like I said, these are all of the competing domains in the project alongside a citation count. and the social platforms as well, so you can see what social channels are stronger than others given your topic space. The second display we've got here is the brand citation map. So this is a visual view of all of the domains in the project that are, one, being cited by LLMs, and two, mention your brand on the page. So all of these domains here have pages that are talking about RAMP, and all of those pages are being cited in the project data. I'll show you an example here. If I go down to one of these sites, you can actually look at the individual URLs that are being cited and mentioning the brand. And if I open the page and switch over to it, I'll be able to search for RAMP on this page. And you can see this is an article that talks about spending management tools, and RAMP is one of those tools that's being discussed on the page. So what this view in the brand citation map is showing us is every single page in the project where content like that was found and contributed to the perception of RAMP by the LLM. You can also look at all of your competitors to look at their brand citation maps. And what's really interesting here is you can click this toggle to compare two different brands. And this will let you take your own brand and a competitor and look at both the shared surfaces. So these are all of the pages where both RAMP and Expensify are being mentioned. You'll see they're denoted as shared surfaces down here. And you can also look at the gaps. So if I want to see all of the pages or domains where Expensify is being talked about that RAMP is not, I'll click on this gaps button over here. And these are all of the pages that are being cited for Expensify and do not talk about RAMP. So it gives you a good idea of what are all of the domains where I'm not contributing any visibility to the LLM. The last view here is the prompts view. And this is similar to the page citation map, but we look at it from the angle of individual prompts. So again, you start by selecting a brand, and we show you every single prompt in the project sorted by the number of response mentions, the domain citations, which is the actual domain ramp.com being cited, and then all surface citations, which is from the page citation map, all citations of any surface that mentions RAMP. You can look at each of these prompts and see what were the actual pages that talked about RAMP when we got citations for the responses of this prompt. Again, you can do the same thing for any brand and see which pages are driving visibility for the brand for specific prompts, that is. You can search the prompt text if you want to find very specific keywords in the prompts. And in the same way as you could on the page citation map, you can also create comparison views here where we look at two brands at once. So this is looking at Expensify and RAMP again. You can see all of the prompts where we are, one, sharing visibility, and on what pages are we sharing visibility, and two, what are the gaps? So this is gaps between RAMP and Expensify. These two prompts are mentioning Expensify. They are citing surfaces that talk about Expensify, but they are not contributing any mentions to RAMP or citations. So these are the prompts where you could say that Expensify is contributing to share of voice in a way that RAMP is currently not. And these are the gaps that we would want to target in the next phase where we build solutions. So that concludes the citation audit view. Again, this is going to be released on January 26th for all users. So you'll be able to create a project, generate a citation audit for the project, and review this information yourself. As for what's coming up in the future, we're going to be working on the next two phases of this citation optimization process. The next phase is going to be building the solutions driven by the data that we found in the citation audit. So you'll be able to look at the gaps that we find. We'll surface those gaps for you in a written report. And then you'll be able to build solutions that are tailored to address those gaps. And then the final phase that we will eventually implement is the capability to track those solutions to determine yourself whether those gaps are actually being closed by the solutions that we recommended. So that should provide some credibility to the solutions that we're generating in the second phase, as well as allow you to rerun audits in the future and make sure that you are like iterating on this process to narrow any new gaps that show up from the changes that you made. So it'll be an iterative process that all starts with this citation audit, which will be, again, available a little over a week from today. So that concludes this presentation. I'll hand it back to Michael.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you, Luke. And yeah, I know that this has been a lot of work to get this in place, and we're super excited to get this in front of our users. So again, please pass any feedback along over the next week while we're getting ready to launch this based on what you just saw, or after launch, please reach out to us. And again, that's at info@xofu.com. We'd love to hear from you and talk about that. Real quick, our next webinar is going to be on February 20th. That also means that the newsletter will be coming out February 19th. And we're also going to be publishing the newsletter and the video that we've recorded today on our blog. So look out for that, and also on our YouTube channel. So thank you all so much for joining our third webinar. And thank you, Luke, for the amazing presentation. Hope you all have a wonderful day. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you all.